Welcome back to FryMinis. I'm Eric, and today in our Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft coverage, we're going to talk about stress and fear. So Van Richten's includes a whole new alternative way to manage stress and fear for your characters, not your players. So let's take a look and see what that means. Terror takes a toll. The ramifications of frightful experiences might be an instant of instinct triggering shock or a lasting traumatic echo. The Dungeon Master's Guide presents options for fear and horror to help reinforce terrifying themes in play. This section presents an alternative system, exploring reactions personalized to individual characters and offering incentive for players to embrace role-playing moments of fear. Options exploring fear provide guidance to create frightening moments for a character outside of spells or monster abilities, while rules for stress model the lingering tolls such events can take. None of these options are required to create an enjoyable horror role-playing experience, but they provide ways to measure the effects of characters facing and overcoming their fears. I'm excited to see this. It's easy sometimes for a player to maybe not role-play their character and their downsides, maybe just the positives, but sometimes they go a little light on the flaws. So mechanics can be helpful here sometimes. Aside from supernatural sources of dread and monsters who strike terror in their victims, fear is subjective and often quite personal. A battle-hardened warrior and a reclusive scholar might not deal with frightful circumstances in the same way. During character creation, a player can choose up to 2 seeds of fear to represent things their characters find truly frightening. The Seeds of Fear table offers some examples. These can change over time as characters grow, overcome old fears, and discover new uncertainties. Work with players to determine when the seeds of fear might change. A character never has more than 3 seeds of fear. If you gain a new seed and already have 3, choose one of your old fears to be replaced by the new one. The Seeds of Fear table is a D12. I can't stand dark places. I'm terrified of a particular kind of animal. Deep water will be the death of me. I can't stand heights. I hate being stuck in tight places. Being around crowds unnerves me, for I always feel judged. I hate feeling isolated or being alone. Storms and extreme weather rattle me. Being followed chills my blood. Sudden noises or appearances fray my nerves. I can't be comfortable around creatures larger than I am. Reflections always seem like they're looking straight through me. Okay, those all seem really reasonable that any character could work a way into. I was worried that these were going to be, I'm afraid of a goblin. I got struck by lightning by wizard once. But no, these are great. When a character encounters one of their seeds of fear and interacts with the situation in a way that reinforces the seed, such as screaming or stumbling back from a horrid event, consider giving the character inspiration for their fear-focused reaction. Once a character gains inspiration in this way, they shouldn't be able to do so again until they finish a long rest. For example, imagine that a character has the seed of fear, I hate being stuck in tight spaces, and must squeeze through a narrow crack in a cave wall to continue an adventure. If the player portrays the character's response in a way that reinforces that fear, such as refusing and finding another way around, taking time and making noise to widen the crack, or portraying some other fearful response, these would be perfect opportunities to reward the player's consideration of a seed of fear by granting their character inspiration. Yeah, inspiration is great. Inspiration is a wonderful tool to give to your players to reward them for playing out their character and not just their stat block. To toot my own horn a little bit, I have a video on improved inspiration where there are different tiers of inspiration, bronze, silver, and gold. I'll have a link to that, but I think this would be a great example of a silver inspiration, something that is going out of the way to impact your character in a way that makes sense. I also kind of like the cooldown there of the once per long rest, because otherwise people will just kind of go a little wild with it. An overwhelming foe or horrid monster doesn't need magic or some supernatural ability to strike fear into the most stalwart adventurers. During any frightful encounter, you can call on a character to make a saving throw to resist being scared. The character must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or become frightened until the end of their next turn. Any of the following circumstances might be reasons to have one or more characters make saving throws to resist being frightened. The character experiences one of their seeds of fear. An enemy is immune to the character's attacks or spells. An enemy demonstrates it can deal enough damage to reduce a character to 0 hit points in one blow. A creature is alien or monstrous in some ways the characters could never have imagined. An object undermines a character's understanding of reality. I love the idea here. Yeah, your attacks aren't doing anything. Yeah, that's going to demoralize you a little bit. Oh, this is an alien that makes your brain break. Like, yeah, you'll be afraid. Totally makes sense. But a DC 15 wisdom save. I'm a little surprised that it's such a flat number and it doesn't scale. Just a flat number seems strange. Charging headlong into terrifying situations is the stock and trade for adventurers. Among the domains of dread, though, periods of respite between harrowing experiences can be rare. Even the hardiest adventurers find themselves worn down over time, their performance suffering as they struggle to cope with the dread and despair. Various circumstances might cause a character stress. Stress can be tracked numerically as a stress score, increasing in trying situations and decreasing with care. At your discretion, a character's stress score might increase by 1 when one of the following situations occurs. A tense, dramatic moment, especially one involving a character's seeds of fear. Every 24 hours, the character goes without finishing a long rest. Witnessing the death of a loved one, a nightmare or darkest fear made real, shattering the character's fundamental understanding of reality, witnessing a person transform into a horrid or unnatural creature. When a character makes an attack roll, an ability check, or saving throw, they must apply their current stress score as a penalty to the roll. That's a lot softer than I was expecting it to be. Like, you watch your sister die, and it has less of an effect on you than Bane. Your worst nightmare attacks you right in front of your face, and you're like, -1. I don't know. I feel like that's pretty weak. I guess you could throw these around so they start to stack up. But, honestly, I kind of like it more as it's a 1d4 for each of those. At least that way you get a little bit of rolling, a little bit of variability. A character who spends an entire day relaxing or in otherwise calm circumstances reduces their stress score by 1 when they finish their next long rest. The Calm Emotion spell effect used to suppress the charmed and frightened conditions also suppresses the effects of one's stress score for the spell's duration. A lesser restoration spell reduces the target's stress score by 1, and a greater restoration spell reduces a character's stress score to 0. I like the idea. I like where we're headed with this. I like the general idea of tracking these mechanics. I feel the fear is great. I wouldn't really make any changes there. The stress, though, that's like the death of a loved one, your greatest nightmare. How, like, that's not happening all that much, right? So if you're only at -1 for a lifetime event and it comes back after a long rest, like, I would probably want to boost that up, or honestly not even worry about it, because you're not going to have enough of those where it's going to really, really, really impact you. I don't know. Let me know in the comments on that one. I could be misunderstanding something there, but that seems not that big of a deal to me. So the mechanics, generally, the philosophy of where we're going, I think these are really cool mechanics. I would love to play with these in a game someday. Stay tuned for more Van Richten's guide to Ravenloft coverage here on FryMinis. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.